Hey lighting fanatics, welcome to part 2 of the Sylvania Fluorescent Conversion Unit. Now if you haven't seen part 1 yet, I would definitely recommend going back and watching that first before you watch this video, because that is where we actually unbox this thing and put it together. In this video, we are actually going to go ahead and turn it on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with that. Alright, the kilowatt meter is now set up over here, and went ahead and screwed in the adapter beforehand because it's pretty heavy and hard to screw in. So, I guess we gotta go ahead and plug this into the meter here. No dimmer because, as it said on the package, you can't dim this thing, unfortunately. So, we'll just have to turn it on at full brightness and see what that looks like. Well, now I'll go ahead and turn off the lights so that we can give this thing a proper test in the dark. Alright, the room lights have now been turned off. We do still have a little bit of light coming in from the window, but that's fine. We'll still be able to see how well this bulb performs. Let's check our voltage real quick. 123.6 volts. That's a little bit higher than it is usually, so that's interesting. Go ahead and turn that down. And let's go ahead and give this thing its first startup for this video. Now keep in mind, this adapter is preheat. Here, let's go ahead and... There, that's better. Alright, let's turn this thing on in 3, 2, 1. Awesome. That was some preheat action, if I've ever seen it. Now, I'm not sure how well you were able to see that on camera. You might have gotten a glimpse of it. But there's something kind of neat about the starter that is inside this adapter. Let's go ahead and get a closer look at that. Alright, I'm going to turn it off. And then we'll turn it back on again in 3, 2, 1. Can you see it? This thing has a neon starter in it, because it kind of has that pink glow to it instead of the purple glow that we're more used to in the argon starters, which I believe are a little bit more common. So that's pretty neat. We have a neon starter inside of this adapter. Wouldn't have expected that. Let's go ahead and give this thing a couple more starts here. Wonderful. Let's see how much wattage we are consuming. 25.2 watts, so yeah, definitely not 22 like the fluorescent lamp says. So of course, we're getting 22 watts from the fluorescent lamp itself, and then an extra 3 watts is being consumed by the ballast and converted into heat by the ballast. Let's actually check our current as well, and our power factor, because I'm interested to see the power factor of this thing. 0.32 amps. And let's see, what's the power factor? Only 0.63. So definitely a low power factor ballast in this adapter. But that's actually not too uncommon for preheat ballast. So definitely to be expected there. Let's see if our ballast is making too much noise. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I can feel it vibrating. Let me see. I can't even really hear it. It's very, very quiet. I could definitely use this in like a lamp or something in my living room and not have a problem with it. It's definitely quiet enough, so I think they were good in making this ballast quiet enough for residential use. Alright, let's make our way up here and do some testing as far as our light output goes. So I have it kind of positioned base up like it would be in like a ceiling fixture of some kind. And as you can see, one of the advantages of adapters like this is how they produce a very, very even spread of light. Like, That's better than even something like an incandescent bulb or a regular fluorescent lamp, because of course it's just a big circle. So basically it produces a very even spread of light, which is really nice. And color temperature wise, this thing is pretty decent. I'd say it definitely has a greenish cast to it, which I'm not much of a fan of, but again, you gotta consider how, one, this thing is part halo phosphate, and two, this is a very early generation of the mixed halo phosphate and triphosphor coating. I mean, this is probably the first of its kind that Sylvania ever produced for this kind of phosphor. So, I'm going to give it a pass. It's definitely a decent 3000K color, considering the earliness of the phosphor. Let's make our way over here. Got some more things we can look at over here. There we go. And then we will make our way over here. There's what that looks like. Now, let's go ahead and zoom in on the colorful items and test our color rendering. Now, the color rendering is definitely where this lamp falls short. The color rendering is not that great. But again, this is not necessarily a particularly high color rendering phosphor, and it's very early on into this type of phosphor's availability. Now, there's actually a little bit of an interesting note about the color rendering of this lamp, because on some of those catalogs I was looking at, you'll notice that the color rendering of the Designer 3000K, or the Color Bright, or whatever you want to call it, phosphor, actually increased over time. So when it originally came out, it was only 67 CRI, which is pretty low for this type of phosphor, I mean, as we know it today. But then, I believe around 1988, it was increased to 69 CRI, and then in the early 90s, it was actually increased to 70, which is pretty much how we know it today. But I thought that was pretty interesting, because you can see the advancement in technology like this for this kind of phosphor over time, and how it kind of started out with a lower CRI, and then eventually made its way to how we know it today. Real quick before we go back down, I do want to give some more demonstrations of the light pattern of this unit. So again, here it is, kind of oriented like a ceiling fixture. Now I'm going to orient it like it would be in a table lamp. Same kind of light spread, I mean, obviously. But now I'm going to put it base sideways. And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it on camera, but there's almost like a weird black line. Now, I have no idea why that is. I mean, there is that thing, but I mean, it's pretty 360 degrees around the whole thing. So, I don't know why that is, why that's there, but I thought that's kind of weird. So, definitely actually not really the kind of thing that you would want to have in a sideways fixture, because then the light coming out the bottom of it's going to be all dark. But I don't know, that's kind of weird. Doesn't really make any kind of logical sense to me, at least, but that's the way it is, I guess. You can kind of see like a little bit of a filament glow there on the end of the lamp. That's kind of weird. And of course we do have our yellow phosphor bands. Well, actually they should be yellow and green, but I think my camera is just picking up the yellow part of it and not the green. But it should be yellow and green, because it's a mix of halo phosphate and triphosphor. Well, now that we've had our demonstration, I guess it's time to come back down here again. And you can see our wattage kind of decreased. Now it's only 24.8 watts, still 0.32 amps, and still 0.62 power factor. But interesting, our wattage went down slightly. Let's go ahead and give this thing a few more startups, because that is just so cool how it has the neon starter inside of it. Isn't that amazing? Let's do it one more time from the top down. Sick. Nice preheat startup from this thing, and it's just so cool how it has a neon starter. Would never have expected that if I hadn't had seen it with my own two eyes. Well, let's go ahead and turn this thing off for good now, and we'll go ahead and turn the lights back on and wrap up this video. Alright, the adapter has been unscrewed from the socket, so let's go ahead and take one last look at it. We'll start with the labels on the bottom of it, I guess, in case you want to see those again. And the base. And there's the side of the adapter with the venting holes. And the Sylvania logo, that's really cool. There's the connector on the end of the Circline tube. It's kind of got an interesting design to it there on the top. There's the clip on the other side, the plug on the adapter, and of course, the etch on the lamp. Very nice color bright, early designer 3000K lamp. I think we're going to go ahead and separate these two again. And what is that? I guess that's just a remnant from the tape that I was using to hold the kilowatt meter in place. Go ahead and zoom out a little bit. And let's set up a nice little display to close out the video here. Well, there you have it. The Sylvania Fluorescent Conversion Unit. A very unique product that Sylvania offered in the 1980s. Definitely an interesting Circline adapter compared to some of the more common GE and Lights of America ones. I mean, those are cool too, but it's just so much cooler when you have a more unique one like this. Well, if you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to leave a like down below. Feel free to leave a comment. And if you want to see more cool lighting videos in the future, be sure to subscribe. See you next time.